collide against each other. They straight up pass through. If we design this laser this way, all 8 beams are gonna pass through one focal point and diverge after. What's up everyone and welcome back. Last week I did a video analyzing the Death Star's super laser, or should I say plasma beam. We talked about why that moon-sized super weapon would destroy itself through recoil and thermal failure. Well, you guys immediately flooded the comment section about how it's not a laser and it's a plasma beam and some other deeper scientific feedback, and I'd love to get into that today. So grab your coffee, because today I'll tackle your best comments from last video and see if I have anything to say about them. Let's get into this, shall we? First and foremost, the most frequent correction was that I used a laser instead of plasma, so thank you for all of you plasma purists. I'd like to apologize if I pronounce anyone's name wrong. I have no intention of any harm or anything like that. First and foremost, Ure Maviar said, it's not a laser, it's a kind of plasma. As well as Turbo Pokey said, those are charges of superheated coherent plasma, and they are not driven by sci-fi, they are driven by sci-fi, not physics. But yes, technically the energy that comes off of the Death Star is a superheated coherent piece of plasma. You're absolutely right. I use the word laser because that's what most people refer to it as, the giant laser beam, but it is technically a stream of superheated charged plasma, and I know that distinction is crucial. But here's the issue with plasma. I think that actually makes things a lot worse for the Death Star and its ability to live in this realm of physics. While a laser is photons and shoots particles of light with no mass, plasma has a lot of mass. And to accelerate that much plasma to relativistic-esque speeds, so anywhere up to about a tenth of the speed of light, we run into a lot of hurdles. Firstly, there's the recoil. If we shoot something with more mass, then the entire Death Star has to move backwards to maintain conservation of momentum. So we're gonna experience a lot of Newton's third law during this. So if it wants to shoot anything, it's gonna get blasted to the other side of the galaxy, which doesn't really seem very efficient. And secondly, there's the thermal compensation. The waste heat from generating the energy to heat up a lot of ions to make plasma and also shoot that plasma out at such a high speed is insane. The wasted heat from generating that energy would require massive radiators just to keep the crew from not becoming soup. Secondly, I got a lot of comments about some overlooked problems, structural and thermal. The first one I have is GunPlasm86 saying, I think a superstructure the size of the moon is already going to cook its inhabitants, which that's a brilliant point. The thermodynamics of the Death Star itself are a huge overlooked physics failure. The structural and thermal problem of keeping a vessel that big from collapsing and frying its own inhabitants is a massive issue. And beyond that, the wasted heat from accelerating that amount of plasma is, you can't just put it into space. It has to go into something. But since space is a vacuum, the only place it can go is in the Death Star itself. So it would just fry everyone unless you had millions of radiators of heat to deal with all that heat. Next up, we have Mephisto8101 saying, and that's why it had thermal exhaust ports. Exactly. But one tiny exhaust port is nowhere near enough to handle the waste heat from a galactic superweapon. The engineers would need to vent heat continuously for safety, especially right before and after shooting the giant beam of plasma, which I think dealing with the heat, again, is a bigger issue than firing the weapon itself. There's nowhere for that heat to go unless it's sitting on a planet, in which case it would just destroy that planet, which makes the Death Star seem a little bit stupid and unnecessary. I digress. Next, we have the philosophical debate of a whole bunch of people in magic defense. Jordan Oldstein 1203 says, dude, don't try to explain the magic, just roll with it. Well, the core argument is, dude, don't try to explain it, it's sci-fi, and yes, you're right, it is science fiction. So what am I doing trying to put our realm of science up against fiction? But I roll with the magic. I love the magic. I roll with it after I understand how much of an issue it would be in our world to have something like that. My fun in this isn't to say that everything that you loved as a child or still love is stupid and shouldn't exist, but more that if it did exist in this world, the universe is gonna tax the hell out of it, and I wanna see how much that tax is. Next we got Brodock4252 saying, I feel like if you've got the technology to build a mobile moon-sized habitat that packs that much energy, there's nothing left to even fight over. This comment is kind of the heart of my entire argument. My goal isn't to ruin the magic, it's to appreciate the magic better by seeing its true scale. Like when we watch the movies, it doesn't seem like that big of a feat, but going into the physics of it, it makes it seem all the more impressive that someone could make a laser like that. Or, sorry, a plasma beam like that. In my opinion, the absurd power makes the story cooler, not weaker. Next, we got Adam EB8TP saying, nice topic and video, work on the presentation. People are shallow, no matter the topic. Shave the face, get a good haircut, a good shirt or no shirt. Well, I do appreciate the great feedback and criticism, but don't worry, I'll be taking my presentation more seriously in this next video. And I do appreciate the honesty, but I think I'll stick with whatever shirts I've got. I'm not the type of channel to make shirtless content. So if you're looking for that, not here. Sorry. Well, that's all the comments I had today.